Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one for you today. Be careful. It is April Fool's Day out here today. However, there is an article that came out that does appear to be real because I found a website to the company that is saying they have a better solution than XRP. We're going to dig into that a little bit. We're also going to get an update from the SEC versus Ripple from Brad Garlinghouse himself. I think you're going to want to hear that. What's next for XRP if it is a currency? We're going to talk about that. And XRP $1 plus and a new all-time high is very much still on the horizon, technical analysts are telling us. And you know what? Let's just roll this beautiful intro. We got a lot more to go over here. Let's do this.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today coming in right at 56 cents, 0.5659 right now. We are ranging between 54 and 59 cents. Again, we want to see that bottom of that range be above 57 cents and preparing to challenge the price at 67 cents to get through the next point of resistance if we can get above this 57 mark. Okay, so that's very real. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's move on to this piece of news, which is really one of the best April Fool's jokes. Now, there is another one that I think is probably tops this one a little bit, but Crypto Whale's got an incredible sense of humor. Be careful. There has not been a settlement with the SEC with Ripple, and there is an April Fool's going around about that. That's a little more cruel. This is a little more funny. Shout out to Crypto Whale, who's really, an enormous wealth of information out here and has an incredible sense of humor. After some thinking today, I realized I am completely wrong about Tether. Tether is the most legit, transparent, and honest company in the entire world. I'm going all in on Tether and adjusting my targets to $1 million to the moon. Yeah, with a stable coin, no less. Thank you for that, Crypto Whale. I did get a chuckle out of that this morning. But be careful. It's out here. Now, this is something that is not an April Fool's. This really is a reminder that if you guys don't have it together with your retirement savings, you have options outside of the normal scope. I Trust Capital, I keep telling you, is the best crypto, gold, silver IRA on the planet, bar none. Don't believe me? Click on the link in the description and comment section and go find out for yourself, because it is. 1 in 4 Americans have no retirement savings. I know I was one for a long time as a professional musician for over 25 years. So make sure you take the opportunity to examine the options you have out here. All right. This is exciting news from Bob Rass and everyone at Sologenic. Shout out to Bob and Reza and everybody else on the team there. Sologenic Decentralized Exchange is built on the XRP Ledger Decentralized Exchange and not controlled by any third party, meaning it's available globally. Anyone can access all the available markets on the decentralized exchange. You can even add your own markets if you wish, he says. Get some of that. And congratulations to Bob Rass. I know they've been working tirelessly to get us to that point, and it is very exciting. And shout out to the Martian Report, who does highlight here correctly, something like 30,000 plus different listings will be available to 27 or 28 of the largest stock exchanges around the world. So there are a lot of choices there, and I don't mind telling you, this opens the door for a lot of tokenized stocks and tokenized liquidity that will be needed and available on that exchange. It just keeps getting bigger. What do you think the SEC thinks about that one? What do you think the U.S. courts and the Judge Torres, right, thinks about that? I think there's some serious use case there. Yeah, I think that would really, really lean in on where the judge is going. Just my 2 cents. Looking at this right here from Michael Val 5 Links, U.S. multinational investment management giant BlackRock has made it its first BTC steps by acquiring futures contracts through the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. BlackRock being one of the largest investment banks groups on the planet, this is a clear sign to me that everything is about to open up and everything going forward is about to change and look a little different in this space. They say we're about 2 weeks or so out from supposedly having the opportunity to see Gary Gensler confirmed for the SEC. It will be interesting to see what he does to set the tone there. I hope he rolls out a set of regulations that just put it to rest for the SEC, but I don't think that he will. It looks more and more like we're going to have to see Congress come up and get off of their fanny and do something for the paycheck. That's not really that encouraging either. But nevertheless, we need a unified regulatory framework, don't we? Yes, we do. All right. Well, this here is from Judy Shelton, the one and only gold bug, who was very famous for saying that she believes we could go to a gold cryptocurrency sort of way to get the control back in the monetary system. She says here, if we get to FedCoin becoming available, it will be seen as competitive payment currency to other options, ? Time to find out if people truly want a decentralized issuer with no discretionary powers versus merely more efficient payment approach. It goes on in the Wall Street Journal article to talk about the MIT project that's happening up there. There's a couple different prototypes of digital dollars that are being explored there. They do, and I can tell you from Jerome Powell himself from the Fed, has said that they will be engaging in July with the public over the digital dollar. So that is exciting to me. And don't forget, we could see a public-private relationship with something that's already made. We'll talk about that in a second. This is European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, the former IMF managing director, outright mentioned the bank will consider launching a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. Just the highlights here, because they have mentioned, and just in full disclosure, Christine Lagarde has said that it's still a few years off for them at the ECB. But she did say they could make a decision on whether to produce a digital currency or not within this year. Well, I just want to highlight this right here because Stellar, bridging its network to all currencies in the world, already the Bermuda dollar, Ukraine, and much more. I would play you the clip, but it really just says exactly what I said here. There's no need to play it twice. But shout out to Stellar, Jed McCaleb, and Danelle Dixon. Again, I am not a coin maxi. I am a utility maxi. And if your coin or your project has use case utility that solves a real world problem, I am your biggest fan. And I have been a fan of XRP and Stellar since pretty much day one because it is the same code. And obviously, I'm sure there's some difference these days than there was in the beginning. But obviously, you get that the base and the fundamental core, the foundation of the XRP open source technology is, in fact, the code that Jed McCaleb took with him when he created Stellar. He is the creator of the ledger. Arthur Brito and David are the co-creators of the XRP ledger. So this gets exciting. Now, this is, I believe, a April Fool's from Jeremy Allaire from Circle. Probably could have used a hashtag just kidding or hashtag April Fools, but if not, it would be great. But I do believe that this is an April Fool's here. But Jeremy Allaire says, breaking news, U.S. Federal Reserve and U.S. Treasury announced that U.S. government will adopt USDC as a new digital dollar currency standard, accelerating U.S. role in global digital currency. Now, although this is being said on April Fool's, and I do believe this is a joke, I don't believe it's a joke that it could happen, okay? Because we know that USD is already on the Stellar network. And the Stellar network is bridging right now currencies around the world to its network. It would be very easy to see the USD coin picked up if they were to decide to. You could easily see a situation where if they wanted to pick up and say, you know what, we're not going to get a coin done on our own fast enough. The USDC coin was Jeremy Allaire and Brian Brooks when he was at Coinbase as a chief legal officer. Brian Brooks referred to the USD coin as one of the most important projects in their careers that they had a chance to work on or the privilege to work on. So at the end of the day, we will keep an eye on this because Who knows? Maybe this April Fool's joke actually becomes the real thing. We'll see. Moving on here, the U.S. working with the IMF to provide $650 billion in currency aid to countries hit by pandemic. Well, let me tell you something here. We talked about this and how there was legislation passed to give the IMF money with no strings attached. I think it was Representative Huizenga, if I say his name correctly. And then another, John Kennedy, actually pulled up Janet Yellen about it last week. We covered that. And, this printing and printing and printing, it's not just for the U.S., right? This money is going all over the world because there's been a global economic shutdown. One has to wonder, this new financial system that's being developed and prepared for, which I believe the market infrastructure on the back end wholesale-wise is certainly there to a great degree. One has to wonder if all of this printing will be priced in to the changeover of the new financial system. And if we do move to something like a bridge currency like XRP at some point, I have to wonder if they don't price in all the printing that's going on to get it done. One will see. We will see. It says here we're about to get an update from Brad Garlinghouse on the court case from the SEC versus Ripple, which all of us from the cheap seats can see is an absolute mess on the SEC's part. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is waiting for Gary Gensler confirmation to have a conversation with the SEC. I just wonder how much different it's going to go, because Gary Gensler does not seem to be the kind of mindset that's much different than Jay Clayton saw it. So if anything, hopefully they can get a resolution and maybe even a partial judgment or a summary judgment that's partially allows Ripple and XRP sales to get back online and to continue, and they can hash out the early days of what went on there. We will see. But right now I want to play this clip for you, the first 2 minutes or so. Listen to this question and these updates here. Listen to this.
Just give us an update on the situation with the SEC. Where do things stand? Obviously, you intend to fight this vigorously.
Thanks for having me, Emily. Indeed, we do intend to fight it vigorously. From our point of view, what has happened here isn't really just a lawsuit against Ripple. It's really against the crypto industry at large. As you know, and as you and I have talked about on this show, that the U.S. has been a laggard in providing regulatory clarity so that investors know how to best invest and entrepreneurs can build companies and hire people. Ironically, a lot of countries around the world have had that regulatory clarity. Just here in the US, we've kind of lagged that. So the UK, Japan, Singapore, Switzerland all have very clear regulatory frameworks. And actually, ironically, on the topic of the lawsuit the SEC has brought against Ripple, the only country on the planet that has viewed XRP as a security is the United States SEC in bringing that lawsuit.
So is there a chance of a settlement? And what happens if you lose?
So look, I'm hopeful that as a new administration comes into the SEC, there's an opportunity to revisit some of those conversations. As you may know and may recall, Jay Clayton, as the chair of the SEC, the day before he left office, he brought this lawsuit against Ripple and against me personally, against Chris Larson personally. And, we don't think that made a lot of sense, given that XRP had been trading in the marketplace for 8 years. Literally nearly $1 trillion of XRP has traded out there. And so to do that the day before he leaves his position, right a couple days before Christmas, I think was misguided. And as Mary Jo White, the former head of the SEC, has said publicly that she views this as a dead wrong, and the SEC is dead wrong on this decision. I'm hopeful with Gary Gensler, the new chair, likely new chair of the SEC, likely to be confirmed here in a couple of weeks. There's an opportunity to have a conversation with that new leadership as he brings his team in on what can be done that's constructive for Ripple and really for the whole crypto industry to provide that clarity and allow people to participate in these markets and to build companies around these technologies.
Well said by Brad Garlinghouse. It couldn't be any other way. He's on top of it. The question here remains is that, if in fact Ripple comes out of this with a currency, virtual currency designation, much like FinCEN and had decided years ago about XRP, if they come out with that, you have to say, well, what happens next, right? I don't believe that, a digital asset like XRP or any other digital asset will be given legal tender status like government fiat money. That much I do believe, but I do believe it should be able to operate as a currency or a convertible virtual currency, a CBDC as they say, because that would allow it to work as a medium of exchange and a store of value, and you could remain the unit of account with the digital dollars of the world, the fiat money of the world, like the US dollar itself. We will see, but if it goes that path, I would expect sometime after the case, regardless if it's dismissed or summary judgment or partial judgment or any other thing, I would imagine at some point you would see the Treasury and FSOC step in to because they deal with money, right? And at that point, I would imagine that, XRP having all the rest of the escrow at their disposal each month when it's released and them being the steward of that escrow, I would imagine some things would have to change at that point, but we will see what happens here. Hopefully we get some forward motion here with Gary Gensler and work our way to a resolution, even if it is a partial judgment. That would be amazing in itself. All right, so moving on here. This is something that's, I read this and it was like, this has got to be fun. Why Ripple's XRP fails as a bridge asset. And obviously I want to read that. Well, listen, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you because I'm going to show you. This is put out by Roxy Incorporated, Roxy Payment Network, a new paradigm in cross-border payments. And I looked at the website and, it's it looks like a template website. I mean, it looks like the kind of website that I would put together at Wix.com or something, right? And use a template for it. God bless them. I'm not going to make fun of them because I believe competition in any space is good. And if you believe in the product and the service or whatever that you have or you own or you're invested in, I wouldn't be afraid to see anybody move into this space or the same space that XRP's in because I know what I hold. This don't rock me at all. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of this, but I will say it says here, in designing Roxy, they considered interoperability as well as the different mechanisms for bridging currencies. Through our conversations with central banks and banks, we found some important requirements to consider in addition to the core domestic CBDC capabilities. And it talks about no regulatory requirements, no crypto exposure, no increased FX risk, proven reliability, security, and transparency, high interoperability and network effects. How does XRP stack up against the requirements? And then this is where it gets a little tricky on their part here. It says XRP requires new compliance and reporting. And honestly, the governance and compliance is built into ODL when it comes to the use of ODL. It is built into the actual software designed. So XRP requires new compliance and reporting. I mean, I don't know if they're talking about the alleged case that's in, current litigation right now. I don't know what they mean by that. But Ripple requires banks to adopt XRP as an intermediate currency. This requires banks to hold, store, and follow strict regulations for reporting and bookkeeping. Listen, here's what I'll say here. If anyone, no matter who it is, takes a position with XRP OTC, yes, they are going to be contractually bound by some kind of an option contract or some kind of contract that makes sure that that entity can't turn around and dump back onto the market and be a bad actor. I mean, that's just good business and good common sense. The other part that this is too is that, truthfully, and I've had this brief conversation with David Schwartz at Swell in 2019. I even asked him, we were laughing about the idea, which is really true, is that how much is a coin really worth that no one needs to hold, but the world needs to use? Truthfully, banks don't have to directly hold it to have access to it. So that's a bit of a misnomer there. XRP is volatile with 10% daily price swings considered typical. With XRP as a bridge asset, banks are directly exposed to XRP for transactions required to hold and store it. They're not really required to hold and store it. However, they do have pre-contractual obligations, obviously, and anyone would in an OTC situation that is getting pre-allocated a certain amount of XRP based against the volume that your business or bank will be bringing to a network. So I just want to drop that out there. The other thing about the price volatility is that, yeah, you may see a 10% swing at times, but the reality here is that if you're talking for 3 to 4 seconds, the reality of seeing a 10% swing, even if you are holding the asset within the 3 to 4 seconds that you're making a payment, really is less risk than it would be in the traditional system using SWIFT, right? Because that's instant payment, not instant settlement. XRP introduces foreign exchange loss potential. Foreign exchange potential is higher with volatile bridge asset exchange rate. Volatile remittance costs are uncertain. Remittance banks and users are high risk exchange rate losses. Banks are not in the business of speculation, and in a world raised with thin margins, these price fluctuations can affect transactions profitability. Sure, all of those things are true, but the reality is again, banks don't technically have to hold it. MoneyGram really proved this example in a real-time live example that they were settling using through Mexican USD corridor, really proving that they could work as an internal treasury to all these different currencies if they wanted to do that, using the example of the Mexican pesos and the USD corridor itself. You don't technically have to hold it directly. Okay, now, here going on here, and like I said, a lot of this is a bit of a mess, but shout out to Roxy Payment Network, because I think they really got mission accomplished. They just want to get noticed, because if you go to the website, one of the things, and I don't think we have to go through much more of this because it is the rest of it's a bit of a mess. I'll just say that, I think they missed the larger narrative here that, XRP's real benefit to the holders of banks, if you want to get down to them and actually holding a position, whether it be directly by the banks or through a holding company of the bank. The real benefit here is that eventually when all these different areas of industry, not just banks, not just one bank, but when you have payment providers, remittance companies, small, medium enterprises, and banks, and whether they be correspondent commercial banks or central banks, all of these different areas of industry take a position on the asset and bring their daily payment flows onto the ledger. I would remind Roxy Inc. that the value is in the protocol, not the asset, XRP. XRP is just a medium of exchange and store of value until that transaction settles within that 3 to 4 seconds. And the real benefit, if they are going to go a step further and hold it and not just use it through a remittance company or market maker, then the real benefit of that comes from where? The benefit comes from the volume moving to the XRP ledger is where the value is going to come from, which will be represented into a high price of the token XRP. So, look, I wish Roxy all the best of luck. They're in the same sector. I think competition's good in any market, and I believe XRP will live up to the challenge, and all the best to you, Roxy. And here's why I'm really excited is because Crypto Maniac 101 says, not so fast, everybody. XRP all-time high is coming this summer. Golden Cross, come on in. Let's take a look at it. Shout out to Crypto Maniac 101. And right here, we have the chart that they have provided here from yesterday. And listen, Crypto Maniac's not the only one. Credible Crypto, right? Crypto Bull 2020, Crypto Toes. I could go on and on. Dark Defender. All these different technical analysts are lining up. And regardless of the day-to-day news and the sideways movement of the price, what are they saying? All of them are leaning in that this is what is going on, that we're headed for a new all-time high for XRP. And I got news for you. That is never going to be a bad thing at this house. So bring it on is what I got to say about that. Bring it on, Roxy, and bring it on new all-time high. That's what I say. This is what you can see right here. I hit this, and it just really basically opens up the scope so you can see the run that it could have based on where we're at here. Sometime through the year going into the summer is what it looks like. We will keep an eye on this to see if the probability of the chart tools hold up or whether the chart fails and it actually breaks against the probable indicators. We will see what goes on with that. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. It's tax time, ladies and gentlemen. CryptoTaxAudit.com. CryptoTaxAudit.com. That is where you need to go for Clinton Donnelly. He can help you out. I'll catch all of you on the next one.